A new paper has found how U.S. carbon sequestration dioxide emissions rose by 3.4% in 2018 following 3 years of decrease. The peak is the greatest in 8 years, on to Rosewood Team, and freelance economical study company. The information shows the U.S. is hardly to encounter its collateral to bring emissions by 2025 by the Paris Environment Treaty. By CEO Donald Trump card, the U.S. is set to keep the Paris consent in 2020 time his authority has ended lot current ecological protections. The U.S. is the planet's other greatest radiator of hothouse gases. And recent year's peak comes in spite a decrease in charcoal-fired forest seedling, a recording quantity were retired recent year, on to the paper. The researchers mention how 2019 will perhaps not reiterate such a growth, but the received information emphasize the nation's challenges in reduction hothouse gas exit. In the 2015 environment consent, later CEO Barack Obama devoted to reduction U.S. emissions to at low 26% by 2005 levels by 2025. Currently, how tool the U.S. will requirement to fall power-related carbon sequestration emissions by 2.6% on ordinary above the following 7 year, and perhaps though more rapid, to encounter how purpose. How's more than rather than 2 times the step the U.S. reached among 2005 and 2017 and considerably more rapid rather than any 7-year ordinary in U.S. story, the paper state. It is surely probable, but will potential need a quite considerable changing in politics in the really close next or very favorable marketplace and technology facility. Down there are a quantity of factors over the growth in U.S. emissions in 2018, several nature, generally economical. Lengthy common cold magical in a quantity of regions herd up consumer demand for power in the winter, time a hot summer in lot components led to more than air conditioning, once again enterprising up power utilize. Yet economical operation is the key cause for the common growth in CO2 emissions. Industries are driving more than consumer goods by trucks given by diesel engine, time consumer are traveling more than by airborne. In the US the led to a 3% growth in diesel engine and jet gas use recent year, a such bet of increase to how seen in the EU in the identical time. All the presence thing of a issue for the Trump card authority that has been lucky to spot to decreasing US emissions as a cause to coil behind lot of the ecological protect regulation put in location by his forerunner. The figures as well show how the CEO's efforts to increase consumer demand for charcoal include not succeeded still, in power engendered of the fossil gas ongoing to decrease. In spite the down there is slight to encourage in the U.S. information for such worried in environment changing on a world scope. Lot had hoped how carbon sequestration cut actions at country or town standard could in several way hold the U.S. on path to encounter its commitments done by the Paris Environment Treaty. The newest emissions information specify how the is hardly to occur. The recent period the U.S. saw such a growth in emissions was in 2010, as the nation restored of its longest economic downturn in many decades. Portion of recent years' peak is as well the outcome of economical increase, but new policies include reinforced the effects of enlarged production manufacture. Mr. Trump card has rolling behind a quantity of his forerunners' ecological regulation with take office space, prescribing environment changing skeptics and production leaders to chief U.S. ecological agencies. As a portion of demise which he named a warfare on charcoal, in 2017, Mr. Trump card rescinded the pure force schedule, that require state to cut carbon sequestration emissions to encounter U.S. commitments by the Paris Consent. In December, the Ecological Protect Agent, EPA, compressed front-end plans to raise restrictions for carbon sequestration emissions of new charcoal seedling and requested for social commentary on override the sentence causes or contributes considerably to air contamination. By Mr. Trump card's authority, the fed by the government has as well outdoor up one-day protected lands for oil and gas drill through the U.S. and has offered end regulation on gas standards for cars and trucks following 2021. Transport remnant the nationality's quantity one resource of CO2 emissions for the tertiary year in a number. but the greatest emissions increase came of two sectors frequently neglected in pure power and environment policy making, buildings and production. The paper estimates emissions of housing and business buildings enlarged by 10% recent year, achieving their highest standard with 2004. And out of considerable changes, industry emissions will be greater contributors to U.S. CO2 and hothouse gas emissions. We wait it to surpass force as the other guideline resource of emissions in California by 2020 and to be the guideline resource of emissions in Texas by 2022.